And on the other side for Shoppe.
I think Shoppe's a real complete team. They were an A team last year that made the leap to major this year, and they've got some great players, and they've got a combination of defense. Shente Granados at shortstop's one of the best young players coming. It's definitely a little bit of a different structure between these two teams.
And now stepping into the box to get
Billy Messina, you saw a moment ago, there he is. He's on the mound today for Easton.
Billy's what, 48 years old now?
Yeah.
in North Carolina.
Lee Powers, a Hall of Famer. His father was, and likely one day he will be as well.
Father and uncle, I believe. Yeah, they're basically the royalty of softball. If your last name was Powers, you were probably born to hit.
And that's why it's you take a look at that shot. It's going to be a fly out for the first out of the inning. But man, what a shot, Lee Powers. He's got a lot of pop on his bat.
Yeah, and he's a perfect example of the young player. When we came up through the ranks, you hit and defense was second, and Lee's an outstanding third baseman on top of it.
So one away, and here is Eric Thompson now. Thompson, the first baseman for Shoppe.
We call him right side Eric for a reason.
Messina, he's been around this game for so long.
And he's trying to work him in, as we call him right side Eric. Eric doesn't like to pull the ball. He's probably one of the best backside hitters that's ever played, and Billy's pitched for a long time and knows that. He's going to be everything under his hands, under his hands, under his hands.
And wow, you don't see that often, but Thompson's down on strikes.
And that's the benefit you get from having Billy Messina on the mound. He's got the scouting report on every one of these guys, and if you've never played at this level or understand this level, and you think there's not something to pitching, you wonder why a guy like Billy Messina can still be out there doing it. It's the fact his knuckleball is phenomenal, but he puts in as much work as anybody to prepare for this, to watch these hitters. He's around the game. You'll see Billy even at the age he's at. If they're not playing, he's sitting in the stand somewhere watching it. He's probably the most cerebral pitcher I've ever seen.
That'll bring to the plate the catcher for Shoppe, Robert Blackburn, who's had just about as good a summer as anyone in Nationwide Conference USSSA.
Yeah, he walked away from the awards banquet last night with about all the big hardware. He led the conference in hitting, and there's probably not a guy that takes more BP than Robert. I mean, Robo is an absolute fanatic for hitting. That's all he wants to do.
And he lines it out to left for the first hit of the ball game, out to Brian Wegman. And he gets in easily at second with a double. And a good sign for Shoppe there, just to start maybe a 2-out rally, because it's so important for these teams to literally mark every inning.
Yeah, and when you play stadium ball, it's a little different than your 300-foot parks back at the house. You know, what we look for is 3 to 4 runs an inning is a huge number. If you can get yourself 3 and put yourself in a 20, 21 run spot, you're going to be in all of these games. Where if we're playing this game on a 300-foot park, you know, you got to look at being in the 30s, maybe the 40s to win this game.
Neil Hagland.
Yes, sir.
That one well hit to right. That ball is gone.
And that'll go as a home run for Neil Hagland. A 2-run home run. And Shoppe strikes first.
It's 2-0.
They're up 2-0.
Bases are cleared, and now into the box. It'll be the additional hitter number 5 from Livonia, Michigan.
It's another difference that you'll see from used to watching baseball games on TV. Is you're not going to see these guys run around the ballpark. They rip it and head back to the dugout.
Yeah, we implemented that really to save time. You know, when in the original days of open home run derby, who wanted to see guys run around the bases? Let's get it through, and it's carried over now to even when we play limited home run ball.
A fly out to Rainwater to retire the side. Neil Hagland with a 2-run home run. Shoppe leads it 2-0 with Laservision getting their first crack.
Are you ready? I'm ready. Bring it. Are you ready? It's on. It's on.
ESPN's Wide World of Sports is the home for the best slow pitch softball. This year, the USSSA Slow Pitch World Series will feature 12 different divisions, including the men's, women's, and mixed, bringing the best teams in the country to Kissimmee. Each team is guaranteed 3 games, and the winners will take home World Series rings by Jostens. The action kicks off on September 18th with the Men's Major World Series and runs through October 20th. Don't miss out. Go to USSSA.com to find out more.
Well, the defending men's major champions now getting their first crack at this ball game. Laservision, and man, is this a team that is stacked with a lot of offense, Coop.
It's amazing. It really is. It's probably one of the greatest offensive teams ever put together. You know, you're leading off with Bryson Baker, who I believe right now holds the record for 7 straight World Series.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
It's if you pick him up, you win the Major World Series. He's kind of the lucky charm right now.
And here he'll start off action for Laservision. Bryson Baker, Brian Wegman, Kevin Philby.
It'll be their shortstop, number 4 from Magalia, California, Bryson Baker.
The lucky charm, if you will.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We all discuss it, and then there's it's pretty amazing. It's hard to win 1, but to think about winning 7 in a row is really quite amazing. And did it on 3 different teams.
You know, you see him at the top of the lineup, and not only does he bring a lot of speed, but he brings a lot of pop in his bat too, as you see this one.
Yeah, pound for pound, I don't know if there's anyone that can hit it farther. You know, Bryson's by no chance a small man, but when you put him in the lineup with a Brett Helmer and a Brian Wegman and a Jason Kendrick, he just doesn't look like a little big guy.
Yeah.
I saw Bees plays when he was 18 years old. Hendu's long haul out of Seattle, Washington picked him up, and they brought him up, and he was a center fielder.
The batter essentially starts with a 1-2 count, as you see a pop out here, and Baker's retired for out number 1. That's the challenge. These guys essentially get 1 strike and 2 balls, and that makes a full count in this game. But that's another thing that helps keep the game speeding along.
It doesn't. I love the no foul ball rule, and I kind of wish they would implement it in softball across the border. That, you know, you take a strike and you hit a foul, you're out, or you hit 2 foul balls, you're out. I think it helps the pitcher with the bat technology and the ball technology, and as good athletes they are, anything we can do to help the pitching doesn't hurt.
Here's Brian Wegman. If you made it out to Major League Ballpark across the country this summer, you may have gotten a chance to see the long haul bombers, and Wegman and his Easton bat group really put on a show this summer.
They did. We hate to admit it, but they did.
It's a called strike there.
Brian's brother, and a lot of you may or may not know, spent quite a few years with the Milwaukee Brewers as a pitcher.
So it popped up to center, and it's going to be caught for the 2nd out of the inning. As Kyle Coward tracks it down, and there's 2 away. What's the key to getting off to a good start, especially early in the morning? You talk about the importance of this game, but these 2 teams showing up bright and early after a big banquet last night.
Yeah, there's definitely can be a hangover effect, no pun intended, on these type of situations. That if you can survive the first couple 2 or 3 innings, you know, everything gets flowing and you get going. But it's definitely sometimes you can lose this game in the first 2 innings.
Kevin Philby. He's got the first hit of the ball game.
You can see it in the first morning game, and you can also see it sometimes on the Friday night games where you see the upsets. You know, the guys aren't quite ready, and a lot of this is these guys have other jobs. And on the Friday night game, a lot of times they fly in 2 hours before the game, and they get dressed on the way from the airport to the field. And so, you know, these first games of the day, be it the first game Friday night of a tournament or a Sunday morning game, I always think it's a little bit of a coin flip.
Here's Scott Kirby at the plate.
He was Conference USSSA Most Valuable Offensive Player of the Year.
A fantastic summer he had.
Amazing.
Kirby rips this one, but foul.
Now work right here on this one.
And that's the thing. These guys spend a lot of time at the ballpark during the summer.
Yeah, it takes the right job. It takes the right family.
Kirby, did he hit it well enough?
He did.
He did. That'll tie the ball game.
Ball is out of here. Scott Kirby to the left center field. Power
A two-run home run ties the ball game. 2-2.
Philby scores in front of Kirby. 2-2. 2 outs. Bases cleared and out into the box. It'll be the middle infielder from Lake City, Florida.
And Kevin Kennington now. Because that's the challenge. You see these two teams playing now in losers bracket action, and because it was just the top teams in the conference getting invited and playing into this championship, it was a much quicker championship, if you will, and maybe not as many games as you'd see in a duel early on, but still a lot of games could be made, especially to win the championship when you lose early on. As you see Kennington stroke this one out to left for a single.
And not that there's ever an easy game, but on a normal weekend, you're probably going to have some lower teams filling out a bracket that are there for the experience. They're trying to build their programs and work up. But when you show up to these type of events, 1 to 16, every team here is, wants to win, expects to win, thinks they can win. It's definitely a different experience.
Kyle Moyer, the first baseman for Laservision at the plate. First pitch taken for a ball. This one turning. And they're going to say it's a fair ball home run.
And that one tails.
And this is what we see with Laservision right here. You had 2 outs, and Shoppe, I think, is thinking, hey, we got a quick inning here. We got 2 on the board. Let's go try to tuck these guys away. And they just have so much power, top to bottom. The guys that are hitting, Chad Durrick's a home run hitting machine here. He'd be everybody else's 2 or 3 hitter.
Florida, number 14, Chad Durrick.
Chad Durrick now. And Durrick strokes it out to left.
Durrick laces that one into left. He'll be in with the easy.
You talk about essentially a strikeout and then a fly out, and then you get single, double, single, 2-run home run, and then another single here. And they could really string together. And you talk about another star here, Brian Rainwater, batting in the 8-hole.
Yeah, former MVP of the Major World Series. He loves that park. It plays well for lefties, and here he is hitting this far down in this order. That shows you their offensive prowess.
There's a base hit.
And that's an RBI single for Rainwater. Durrick in to score.
And it's 5-4.
2 outs. And now stepping into the box, one of the hottest hitters at the conference championships, the third baseman, number 5 from Danuba, California, Sam Lopez.
And they find themselves, and this is a commonality in the slow pitch game, batting and bringing 9 to the plate. But what was going to be a quick inning, and talk about it again here, now it's a 9 batters that Shoppe has had to face. One goes into the corner, and Rainwater is going to come in to score.
And Sam Lopez with the third 2-run home run of the inning.
And
that'll make it a
that's the third 2-run home run of the inning. It's a challenging thing for us, with the sun still rising, to find it.
Yeah, and we lost the stadium, obviously. The stadium that this is normally played in is under construction for the Houston Astros for their extended season. So we're definitely not in the normal spot we would be at this point.
This is a pretty tough ballpark to hit home runs in.
Yeah, this park actually plays bigger than any of the other parks here, and I think you have to go back to Jackie Robinson Stadium back at Daytona to find a park that plays this big.
That one curving away. Jason Kendrick gets a single. Kyle Coward tried to track it down, and Look at Kendrick cruising into second, and now Laservision's brought all of their order to the plate as Billy Messina, who bats in the 11 hole, is going to come hit.
Yeah, there's a pretty good. You got Jason Kendrick. He's obviously a 43-year-old player on the backside of a phenomenal career, Hall of Famer with as much power that's ever played the game, hitting in your 10 hole. It's a pretty nice luxury to have.
So Kendrick on second, and here is Messina.
Play.
And that one is smoked back up the middle.
And that's a bonus. I mean, Billy is paid to pitch. That is an absolute bonus. And that's a backbreaker if you're Shoppe right here. You had 2 outs in the inning, and you see Billy come to the plate, and I love Billy Messina to death. He was my former roommate, but you expect Billy Messina to make an out. And that's what you're expecting right there. Now you're in a spot where what was once 2 outs, nobody in, you could be staring at double digits here real quick.
And you see that one just off the glove of Andy Vidcat. Talk about the challenges of playing, especially on the corners in this ball game, and even more so being a great defensive pitcher.
Yeah, and it's tough here because quite often they take the mounds out for us here, and obviously when we play in the stadium they do, and so some things that had to be moved around to fit in with the field being redone.
Look at Bryson Baker, his second chance opportunity of the inning, and he makes him pay.
You know, so you've got a mound behind you, and in a lot of cases, you know, Andy likes to back up to play defense, and when you have a mound behind you, you typically don't want to back up because you become higher and a bigger target. So a lot of times you'll fall right to left instead of backing up. So it takes a couple of games when you do come here and they haven't taken the mounds out to play the game. It's definitely a little different than your 300-foot park at the house.
So it's 10-2 with that home run, and Wegman comes to the plate with his second plate appearance of the inning, and he's going to fly out for the second time in the inning. Dave Kessler tracks it down. 2 flyouts for Wegman, but what an inning for Laservision. They put together a 2-out rally, and they have a huge lead as we head to the second. The winner moves on to play Rismondo. Nationwide Conference USSSA continues on ESPN right after this.
Are you ready? I'm ready. Bring it. Are you ready? It's on. It's on.
It's a big lead early on. Laservision leading 10-2. And let's check in now with the third member of our team, Kristen Bedard, down there on the sideline. What do you got, KB?
Well, Bernie, I had a chance to talk to Laservision's pitcher, Billy Messina, before the start of the game, and he said sometimes the old guys just have to step in and get the job done. They're missing 2 of their pitchers. They're missing Travis Clark and Gino Buck. Gino Buck is dealing with a family emergency. Travis Clark is injured. However, Billy said they do expect both players back before they hit the Men's Major World Series.
Well, thank you, KB. And you talk about not having Gino Buck in the lineup for Laservision. You know, nothing against Billy Messina, but Gino Buck's one of the top pitchers in this game as well.
Yeah, Billy's supposed to be a player coach here. His goal when the season started was, you know, pitch an inning here, pitch a batter there. There's a specific batter that Billy feels comfortable still pitching at. You know, when they drew up this lineup, it wasn't to have Billy on the mound for 5, 6, 7 games in a weekend.
David Kessler will start off action for Shoppe. And the tables really turn here where you felt pretty good, especially when you got those 2 quick outs in the bottom of the first, but now you got to be feeling a little pressure to put up at least 3-4 runs, I would assume.
You got to have 3, 4, 5 here, or you get the problem with Laservision's power of just getting tucked away. That's how we talked about earlier. Sometimes these games in a stadium can be won and lost in the first 2 innings.
Kessler deep, and that one's gone for a home run. It's 10-3.
You know, we played this game with 2 major teams, so it's 16 home runs. So a lot of times you'll say, wow, there's a solo okay here compared to the other way. A park this big, it's hard to get 16 home runs. I mean, we can can probably count the number of games that have had 16 in the 6 or 7 years we've played here on one hand. So even though there is a home run limit, this game is really going to play like an open home run game.
Granados grounds out.
With the ground ball up the middle, the nice play by Kevin Kennington.
And Kennington retires him for the first out.
Stepping into the box will be the second baseman from Tracy, California, Victor Cordova.
That'll bring Victor Cordova to the plate.
Vic is probably considered around the conference as the best or one of the best teammates you'll ever have. This is an absolute rah-rah guy. If he's in the lineup, out of the lineup, no matter what's going on, he's going to give you everything.
Hit into the left field corner. That's a fair ball. Look at the speed. These guys race around the ballpark, and they've been jogging around all weekend long.
Jogging around all weekend long and jogging around a heck of a party last night, too. So that's a little bit of a question this morning, too.
Yeah.
U-Trip put on a heck of a party last night at the awards banquet. And I'm sure there was, with Shoppe, they got a lot of deserving awards, so I'm sure they came off a pretty good night, too.
Texas, Jonathan Lenz.
So a triple for Cordova. That brings up the middle infielder, Jonathan Lenz. In this 10-3 ball game. And it just goes foul.
And Jonathan Lenz, a little bit of a comparison between, you look at Kennington playing middle infield for Laservision. He's there to hit home runs. He's there to hit. Jonathan Lenz is a great young hitter, but he's there to play defense.
Yeah.
It's very much, if you look at those two players, it's probably the comparison between the two teams. One's a stone cold hitter that fields occasionally. The other one's is a dynamite fielder who throws it around the yard.
Well, you talk about this game and in some ways how it's evolved over the years, and especially here on the stadium. The defense is so important, as we see an RBI single here by Lenz. It's going to score Granados.
Yeah, you look back on the teams and people like like anything. The 27 Yankees are the best team that ever played. If we ask somebody, Howard's Furniture or Steels or Team TPS is the greatest team that ever played, and they may well be, but we didn't see them play this type of ball. They didn't play limited home run balls on the normal weekends, and then they didn't play a lot of stadium ball. It's really a completely different sport. It's a hard comparison.
It's hard for me to imagine that they played in an era without run rules.
Yeah, no run rules, open home runs, you bash it and you beat it, It's a completely different game.
It has some long weekends. They're just not nearly as many games.
No, well, and that's one of the reasons that the run rule got, or the home runs and the run rules and the flip-flop rules and some of these other rules that got put into place was, you'd go to a tournament like the Smoky or the Bush, and the winner's bracket final would end at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, 97 to 83.
Right.
It was 3 and 4 hour games every game.
Bottom of the lineup, Kyle Coward.
And like we talk about, what do we want to see on ESPN at night? We want to see the web gems. We want to see those great defensive plays that were made.
How about that? Cue up one of the web gems.
And
quick throw to the plate. Not in time.
Heads up base running right there, though. But when you were playing open home run ball and you were playing on 300-foot fences, there were not a lot of web gems. There were some great players back there, the Johnny Mellos and Brett Hightowers that were phenomenal defensive players. But when you were trying to play with everything on the other side of the fence, there just weren't even the opportunities for those plays. And I think for the marketing of this game, for people wanting to sit at home and watch it on ESPN, the defense matters so much.
Lee Powers at the plate with a runner on first.
The interesting thing about Lee is if you could have saw his daddy hit, it is the identical same stance. It's like watching 25 years ago for me. I mean, he gets in the box the same, he grabs his hat the same. It is literally a mirror image of his daddy.
The impressive thing to me is that they both got to swing Louisville Slugger, which is, talk about the history.
Yeah, it was neat the night that his daddy went in the Hall of Fame. I was lucky enough to be there, and he talked about his proudest moment in slow pitch softball wasn't his own accomplishment. It was the fact that his son got signed by the same manufacturer that he represented for so many years. I thought that was a classy statement and really kind of showed the bond of that family.
Powers to center, and man, almost a brilliant catch, but it rolls away. Unbelievable effort there by Chad Durick.
He gave you everything he had there. That was a no chance ball to start with, and he almost turned it into a chance there.
And the momentum just took the ball from in his glove and flipped it out.
Yeah, luckily Rainey was in the gap over there backing it up, or that's probably an inside the park home run.
So that'll make it 10-6.
And it'll be interesting to see if Eric will sit here and wait after striking out the first time, or is he going to go after the first pitch that Billy kind of throws around the plate.
So triple for Lee Powers, and here's Eric Thompson.
Ball.
Inside, inside, inside. And that's what we're going to see here again. Billy's not going to give in to him, knowing Eric just doesn't like to pull the ball.
And down to his final strike again.
Here we go. Oof.
And he draws a walk. Again, essentially in this game, when you get to 2 balls and 1 strike, if you're used to watching either baseball or fast pitch, that is a full count. Helps speed the game up a little bit.
It does. And it was the right move. You know, a lot of these, especially when you play as many games as we do in a weekend now. And part of it was definitely to speed it up to keep games on, but it was also to speed it up for the athlete. You know, we had to get rid of those 3.5 and 4 hour games.
Not sure how they can make it through a full tournament with so many of those long games.
Yeah, it was really more of a battle of attrition at those tournaments than it was who was the best team.
Here's Blackburn, who started the 2-out rally in the first, pops this one up into the corner, and enough room there to be hauled in by Wegman. That'll retire the side. 4 scored by Shoppe in the top of the second. It's 10-6, Laservision on top.
2014 DeMarini Stadium 2.1 and CL22 are ready to strike fear in the competition. Loaded with a revolutionary design and unmatched durability and feel. The Stadium 2.1 features a balanced 13-inch S.1 composite barrel. The CL22 clears the wall with a 12-inch end-loaded option for heavyweights. Both bats feature an SC4 aluminum alloy handle for a one-piece feel with a two-piece design. Step up to the plate with Stadium Power Tour sluggers Larson, Pokraka, and Rockoff. DeMarini, insane dedication to performance.
Well, just one of those warm mornings in the Sunshine State.
Yeah, we lost out on our air-conditioned booth, didn't we?
We did. That was probably one of the, at least on my side as a broadcaster, it's probably the biggest thing that we're missing this weekend, not being in the stadium. Overall, the venues that Nationwide Conference USSSA goes to during the summer, second to none. So many great parks and so many great tournaments this summer.
Yeah, it's expanding and expanding, and the parks are great. And you know, they come here and play in the same park that the Houston Astros and New York Yankees play their spring training stuff in, and the games that are played here. And then we follow up here by going to Disney and playing the home of the Atlanta Braves for their spring training. It's pretty amazing to step in those same dugouts and know who else was in those dugouts playing just before you.
Well, Laservision had a heck of a start, scoring 10 on 2 outs in the bottom of the first. And that one's off the feet of Vidcat. And no throw will be made, so Philby has his second single of the ball game.
Vidcat fights it up just in self-defense. Looks like Andy's okay.
Man,
infield single, so the leadoff man.
Got to get hazard insurance when you're a pitcher.
It's part of the game anymore, though. You know, you have a lot of guys say, "Oh, why does that happen?" But you know, you have to learn that swing. A lot of the games played to the middle. We've talked about we've speeded the game up, but if you have a strike on you and you can't hit a foul ball, where are you going to play through? You know, you're going to play back through the middle. Also, when you have limited home run balls, that's where you're going to play back through. So that's probably the sole biggest change with the rules and the lessening of the home runs and the getting rid of the extra foul ball is the pitcher is much more in play now than they were 10 years ago.
Kirby, you always hear the up the middle, up the middle, up the middle.
Yeah, and if you watch a major league game, what do we talk about when we want a hitter to get on? Up the middle the other way, up the middle the other way. It's the same thing here.
Kirby aboard for the second time. Look at Philby with the wheels, trucking around to third. Taking the extra base when he can.
Flip's still a young man. A lot of guys, I think he was at 18 or 19 with Creative Stucco the first time he won an A World. And it seems like that Philby's been here for 30 years, but I'm not 100% sure Philby's even 30 years old yet. It's just he's been here for 10, 11 years. And he's been at this level, and he's been hitting since the day he walked on the scene.
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
Kennington into the corner.
And this is a perfect example. Even where he's trying to hit a home run, he can't sit on the line here and try to go to the short porch without a foul ball to hit here.
Right.
So he's going to start it at the shortstop and let it go.
And when it's on the ground and bobbled there at third, and Laservision's going to score their 11th run of the ball game as Lee Powers struggled.
And it's an RBI single for Kennington. Philby in to score. First 3 men aboard, and now stepping into the box, it'll be the first baseman, number 25, Kyle Moyer.
Here's Kyle Moyer.
I just got told Philby was 32. I'm wrong.
There you go.
We learn. The women are always right. I figured that out, though.
It helps when you got someone in the dugout to help snoop and get the information.
Yeah.
But still a young gun in this game.
Yeah, when you look at the rest of their roster, Jason Kendrick, Brett Helmer, Billy Messina, these are all guys that are plus 40 or over here, or Rainey's and those guys that are 36, 37. We've talked about it for years. Kind of the late 20s to 36, 37. That's the prime. It's not baseball. The prime isn't at 29, or it's definitely tailing. And with the conditioning and the equipment today and the things that have gone on, we're seeing guys play at 41, 42, 43 at the absolute highest level.
Which is good for the game. I mean, I think that the game, is really, especially with the conference, taken to a whole new light just in the amount of games, especially the high-level teams are able to play on a weekend. As you see, Chad Durick pop this one up, and it should be caught for out number 2, and it is. But, that's what Don DiDonatis talked about at the banquet last night. He had a vision a couple years ago where upper-level softball was, in many ways, starting to fall by the wayside. But as opposed to playing just a tournament or two against the big boys, now week in and week out, you see the A's, the B's, the C level playing right up against the top level.
Everybody. And I think it's fair to say that it wasn't that the program was in trouble. It was dead.
Right.
I mean, it really was. We were down to 3 or 4 teams, and we were playing round robins against each other, and you would show up, and it was hard to get motivated because you were going to play the same team 3 or 4 times, and you were losing sponsors because of it. You look at this year, the new sponsors that have come back into the game.
Rainwater gets that one to go over, and that's where you want to hit it in this ballpark,
right
is on the right field line.
That's exactly same as Disney. Rainey's a legend at Disney and here. Both these parks play shortest right into that right field corner. But we've looked at, we've got sponsors in like Bob Ford now, who was a C team, a B team, and he's reportedly coming back next year, looking at even making the jump to major. He's definitely stay the same, and he's going to try to build the best A team, and if he can build a major team, he's going to. Those sponsors wanted nothing to do with that program before this was started, because who wanted to go chase 3 teams around the country?
Right. Here's Sam Lopez in a 14-6 ball game. That one ripped, and there is a look at the web chems that you see here. Lenz lays out and makes a brilliant grab to retire the side. Laservision tacks on 4, and they're up 14-6 as we head to the 3rd. But the glove's certainly on showcase here in Nationwide Conference USSSA. A brilliant catch to end the inning.
In the nation, we can't make every annoying thing disappear, but we can eliminate deductibles. Nationwide insurance members who add vanishing deductible get $100 off for every year of safe driving. Join the nation where deductibles go.
Nationwide is on your side.
You USSSA members, you could save money on your auto insurance. Call a local Nationwide agent or 1-866-556-SAVE.
I am doing fine, thank you.
Top of the 3rd inning. The winner of this one takes on Resmondo in the championship. And then let's check in now with the third member of our team, Kristen Bedard, once again. KB, what do you got?
Well, before the start of this game, I had a chance to talk to Shoppe, and they were all about the typical cliches. They said they need to play hard, they need to play 5 innings if they want to win this one, they need to throw strikes, and just hit the ball. And right now, I know that's the mindset going into this inning, is that they just need to continue to hit the ball.
Well, thank you, KB.
Here we go.
You know, you saw these two teams battle against one another yesterday, and of course they played a number of times, but that's probably, again, the best thing about the conference is take a look at the USSSA World Series at Fortune Road just a couple weeks ago, and the competition level at that tournament was second to none, and all those teams have knocked off at one point a Shoppe or a Laservision during the summer.
Yeah, it's the parity, you know, we were talking about it this morning, Bernie. The parity is amazing here. I don't know if I've ever seen a tournament. You know, we're going to head into the Major World Series this year with 18 teams for the first time ever. It's always traditionally been 16, and on the backfield right now, we've got a team battling it out to get the one single at large berth, and we're bringing the all-military team, which I think is amazing.
That one is smoked.
2 from Mr. Hagelin. And, you know, so we're bringing a couple of extra teams, but I can't tell you that if there's ever been, at least in my 20-some years around here, that there's been a chance where you could say the 6th seed or the 9 seed or the 12 seed, you know, could win the tournament could be in the championship. It used to be there were 2 or 3 teams. It wouldn't shock me if the 16 seed ended up playing on Sunday this year, and I think that is amazing.
Well, we saw it a couple years ago with the run that Taylor made.
Yeah, they actually beat my team on Sunday morning. You know, they came in as they actually got a kind of an at-large berth because they took a spot that a team couldn't fulfill and made a heck of a run there. And we saw it, I think, 3 years ago with FBI, the same thing. They came in as a double-digit seed, knocked off single-digit seeds for 3 straight days, and there they were on a Sunday. So we kind of saw it coming, but to see it across the board right now, you look at pure romance this weekend. There's a team that nobody would have picked to do anything in this tournament, I think, going into it because of the old conventional wisdom that, you know, you can't play with those guys. And here they stayed in the upper bracket. They picked up 4 or 5 spots.
Wow, almost 2.
Time, 1, gentlemen.
Smash fielded by Kyle Moyer.
Again, a look at that great defense you talk about.
Well, and it's interesting. Kyle Moyer was a longtime minor league player. Casey Urgowski, who was forced out at second, there's a 10-year minor league guy. Spent, I think, 6 of them in the AAA level with Chicago White Sox. So you're seeing a lot of that coming in as well.
Moyer with just a quick flip over to second, gets Kessler to reach on a fielder's choice, and here's Granados. Has the way the game evolved affected the way you've had to select your teams over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, Shente, the young man hitting right now, he's a kid that we picked up at 19 years old, you know, right out as a defensive player. You're definitely looking for it to be different. You know, our team this year, Team Combat, we went young. We've taken some lumps. I love the young kids we got, but I think at some point in time, you know, you want to build a group that can stay together. The sole largest thing Rosmondo has had going for them over the unprecedented run in the last decade is they've all been together.
And a solid single up center field for
and that helps you because year after year you're able to build some chemistry as well.
Yeah, and Bernie, you're around the office here, and a lot of the guys live down here. They hit down here together. They make 1 or 2 moves a year.
Right.
And where the rest of the teams, we call it rotisserie softball. You know, they're trying to catch them, so they're bringing in 8 guys or 9 guys, and it takes you half the year to remember who's who and who wants to room with who and who's eating with who and where they sit in the lineup.
Here's Cordova at the plate, and I think that's one of the things that I think that people are, you know, they always see the level that these guys play at, and I think that sometimes there's a magic trick out there, if you will, but you take a look at a guy like Nick Santana, and he lives in Longwood. It's just up the road, and because this is the national headquarters and they have batting cages, you'll see the guy out there for hours and hours just hitting off of a tee, just trying to get everything straightened out.
Yeah, and I think you look at Rosmondo, and, you know, obviously I'm a competitor with them and against Travis, and it'd be easy to you know, people want to take shots, but the fact is he's made a youth movement. You look at the guys he's brought in, the Yates, the Santanas. He's brought 1 or 2 young players in. Jimmy Salas a couple years ago from the West Coast. It's not that he's just finding guys in the house. He found Jimmy Salas down in Southern California, and every one of those players have panned out. I mean, they haven't had a miss. You got to tip your hat to them. You know, New York Yankees don't have that kind of luck with their unlimited spending. They have a bust. I mean, we talk about time. Every guy they bring sticks and makes it. You got to tip your hat to that organization. And it really, at this level, it is an organization. You know, you've got people booking travel, scouting, recruiting. There's a lot that goes on to this. You know, you're trying to get 25 or 30 people flying in from 7, 8, 9, 10 different cities every weekend or every other weekend.
Jonathan Lenz with the bases loaded. Flies out to left. And Shoppe's going to tack on the second run here in this inning, and that'll make it 14-8. So speaking of which, you know, what do you look for if you're trying to find one of those younger players that is playing A-ball, B-ball, C-ball, or just, you know, working their way up into the realm of trying to make it to the next level?
You know, I probably get 10 emails a week about this. How do I get a look? Who do I contact? Or what should I do? And I tell every single one of them, bat and ball technology is made a home run hitter almost obsolete. What we're looking for is a guy that can play on both sides of the ball. You'll get this, I'm a great hitter, Where do you play? I'm a catcher. I don't need a catcher. You know, call me when you're a center fielder. Call me when you're a second baseman. Call me when you're a third baseman. That's where you look at the Lee Powers and the Shente Granadoses, you know, and the Nick Santanas that we spoke about. Phenomenal. Yates was the Defensive Player of the Year this year in his first year with Rismondo. You know, he was picked up as much for his defense as he was for anything.
Popped up that should retire the side, and it does. So Shoppe able to tack on just 2 more. We head to the bottom of the third. Laservision up 14-8. Looking to move on to play Rismondo in the championship nationwide conference USSSA 2013.
USSSA is the largest multi-sport athletic association in the world. Headquartered in beautiful Osceola County, Florida, USSSA has now grown to 3.7 million members, competing in 14 sanctioned sports. From fast-pitch softball, basketball, taekwondo, and golf to being one of the largest youth baseball programs in the country, USSSA has a sport for you. Log on to USSSA.com to find out how you can take part.
Play the best and play USSSA.
We're here in the
bottom of the third, 14-8. Laservision is on top. Take a look at Laservision, and they scored 10 in the first, 4 in the second, and you know, that's a team as well that you've seen so many big bats across the time, and that's what has been their downfall a little bit in the tournament. Is sometimes they've kicked the ball around a little bit, which the game is changing a little bit, where you just don't have that ability to kick it around and give extra outs.
There's too many good hitters, and the Laservision team, if you ask Pierre Alford or Brett Helmer, the two guys that built the roster, their philosophical plan was to whack the ball around the yard, and that's what they did. If they looked at 2 players and they were equal offensively to defensively, you know, they always lean on the side of offense, and it's definitely an issue with them sometimes, and it shows up and it bites them. You saw that with Rismondo. We were playing on the backfield. I didn't get to see the game, but what I heard is they kicked 3 or 4 balls and gave Rismondo a couple extra at bats in 1 inning, and the next thing you know, you're chasing a big number, and it's hard to come back from that against a team like Rismondo that's got Andy on the mound and the defensive MVP in the outfield and 3 or 4 other guys on that team that have won the conference defensive MVP award before. This is probably my favorite player of all time right here, Bernie. And this is an absolute gamer.
Yeah? What do you like about him?
Everything. He's a great teammate. You know, I have the privilege of working with Jason every single day. We work together, and it's the fact is he treats everything in life as a competition, and he's just a great person. But I think he'll go down as one of the top 10 players that's ever played the game.
Kendrick at the plate doubled his first time up. 10, 11, and 1 this inning. On the ground, Kendrick beats it out for a single.
That's a perfect example right there. It's even though we probably can free swing here, Jason's going to try to do the right thing. He's leading the inning off. It'd be easy for him to get in the box, dig his back foot, and try to whack one out of the yard. But Jason's going to play the game that way all the time. He's not going to hit bad home runs. He's going to bust his butt on every ball like that down the line. That pretty much summed up Jason right there.
Billy Messina now at the bottom of the lineup. And it is 2.
Now that's a perfect situation there where Jason played the game right. He tried to not hit home run, but I'm not 100% sure when he walks back over there that he probably won't hear it from the coaching staff. Remember who's behind you today. Normally you would have Gino Buck, as we spoke about earlier, as the pitcher, one of the best offensive players in the game, a long haul bomb. Remember, when you're pitching Billy, Billy's here to pitch, and that's a spot right there. If Jason can get himself to second, it takes a double play out of possibilities. If he thinks that a bat over, he's probably thinking, I may be better off hitting a home run here,
right?
Than putting us in that spot.
Bryson Baker at the top of the lineup had a 2-run home run his last time up. It's all about it's amazing how intellectual the game has grown over the years.
Yeah, in the old days, we all got in the box and free swung, and nobody would have thought about it right there.
Baker, this one is going to turn and head foul.
But I think it's a better game, Bernie. I mean, I really do. I think this is a game now that's, it's evolving to a point where we're seeing web gems and we're seeing strategy and we're seeing young players come in. And I think also what happens with this type of pitching, the flat, fast U-trip pitching, we're attracting baseball players that want to come play this game.
To left.
And part of what we're supposed to do at this level, one of the reasons that the USSSA and a couple of the other programs have tried to keep this part of the program alive is the fact is that we're supposed to be here growing the sport. That's what this is supposed to be. We're supposed to be using this as a showcase to get people playing Tuesday Night League back at the house. And I think
gives them something to dream about.
It does, and I also think when they see defense being played, and you say, "Hey, I'm a 5'8", 170-pound guy. I got a chance to play at a really high level now." Where in the old days, if you weren't 6'6", 295 pounds, you didn't have a chance.
Right.
And that eliminates a lot of the market share, right?
It does. Here's Wegman at the plate, and I mean the biggest thing, obviously, that's really evolved is the bat and the ball technology.
Yeah, and it has. But if you go back, it's obviously my 9-to-5 job is in that industry, and there's a lot of changes that we could discuss, some good, some bad, but it's not quite, I think, what everyone thinks it is.
A fly out for Wegman. He's flew out 3 times in the ball game. Laservision is blanked in the bottom of the 3rd. An opportunity for Shoppe to try to work their way back, trailing 14-8.
Are you ready? I'm ready. Bring it. Are you ready? It's on. It's on.
Welcome back to Central Florida. Let's check in now with the 3rd member of our team, Kristen Bedard, to find out what's happening on the Shoppe side of the dugout.
Well, I'm here with Tony Cortugia, and you guys are still within striking distance. How do you get your bats going?
Nope, just need to stay focused and, be focused on every swing. Don't overthink. Anytime we come out here against these guys, we've taken the field with a 2-run lead, stayed out there. They put 22 up and beat us. We've, done the same thing to teams, so it's never out of reach. You just got to keep battling and stay focused every swing.
Now, Laservision's defense been spot on. How does your hitters make them uncomfortable?
Well, you have to stay in your comfort zone. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to do something different. This is a good team, probably one of the best assembled defensively. So, you got to hope for a break here or there, do the right thing.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thank you, Kristen. Take a look at where Shoppe lies. They scored 2 in the first, but they've been able to almost stay toe-to-toe for them here. They're right in the neck of the ballgame, especially after blanking them in the bottom of the 3rd.
We'll see how big that double play looms right there. If Shoppe can come back and get 4, 5, 6 here and swing the pressure back the other way, it'll get real interesting.
First pitch popped up, but foul. So important to get off to a good start. In this inning, especially after you blanked the opposition moments ago.
It doesn't happen that often. You know, you don't get zeros all that often at this level.
Big pitch. And it's grounded, and there's another look at the defense, just ripped and fired across the infield. How about the gun?
Yeah, B still has it. I mean, he's definitely, you know, like I say, Bryson came up as a center fielder. He's been a center fielder, a left fielder, a middle infielder, a shortstop. It's he's quite an amazing player when you really look at the size that he is and everything that he brings to the table. And the fact that he's a lucky charm doesn't hurt.
Well, we'll see. It'll be pretty special. He's going to start to run out of fingers.
Yeah,
he might be having to look for a toe ring in a couple of years.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Lee Powers free swinging. Powers 1 for 2 with a triple in the ball game. Flew out in his first plate appearance. Well, he straightened it out there, and he gave it a ride. And that's a challenging spot to hit a home run in this ballpark because this ballpark backs up to a road. It's almost like a green monster back there.
Yeah, it's a big park, and as the temperature climbs today, you know, the ball's getting a little bit softer, and if you're getting up out of there, it's a full-size man swing. There's nothing cheap in that whole area.
So Powers with a home run, the first run here in the 4th. And Shoppe trailing now by 5.
Yeah, we can see the defense set here. We talked about with Eric likes to be backside. We've got the middle infielder basically playing dead over. They're leaving a hole over there, and we've got our first and second baseman almost playing at a first base level. So this is a perfect scout. We've scouted him. We're going to make him try to pull the ball. We're not going to let him at least try to go where he wants to go, which is right there.
On a line to right, and Thompson is retired by Rainwater for the second out.
So now 2 outs. Stepping into the box, it'll be the catcher, number 17, Robert Blackburn.
A lot of area for those guys to patrol out there, though, when they play on the stadium.
Yeah, and if you notice what they got going on here is, you know, Chad Durick now, who started in center field, is catching. Jason Kendrick's been into right field. Rainey's going into center, and they've been rotating every inning here. This time of the year, everybody's down a couple of players. You're trying to get ready for the Major World Series, and let's be honest, Laservision's playing to win this thing, so they're going to say, hey, we're going to win this game. We want to make sure we got legs left under us. We don't want to give it to Rismondo for free. So, you know, every inning they're doing an outfield rotation right now, trying to prepare for a long day.
Well, because if they were to hoist the trophy at the end of this tournament, they'd need to win this one plus 2 more. As you see Robert Blackburn do what he's done all summer long, and that's get aboard.
Yeah, and it's a battle of attrition, and this is always a tough thing. Is you want to win this tournament. It's the end of the year conference finals, but the granddaddy lies 2.5 weeks from now, and you see like Shoppe over here right now has, you know, their big man Timmy Coco, their home run hitting machine, on the bench a little bit banged up. They've got McCullum, their second baseman, and a home run hitting machine on the bench, and part of that is you want everybody as healthy as you can get them 2.5 weeks from now.
Neil Hagland at the plate taking a called strike.
Trying for his 3rd in a row here. He's a great young player. It's a young man that, you know, came on the A scene just 2 years ago and then was with the Reebok group last year, and now here he stands. He's made quite an ascension to the top real quick.
That one doesn't have the legs to get up. And so Hagland will have to settle with just 2 home runs so far. Only a run scored there in the 4th. We move on to the bottom of the 4th. It's a 14-9 Laservision lead here. Nationwide Conference USSSA Championship. Laservision looking to add to their 5-run advantage here in the bottom of the 4th. The winner of this one will play Rismondo. Laservision, the defending champions. It's got to feel good to say that, especially in that Laservision dugout.
You know, the interesting thing also about this is you talk about it last year we had Rosmondo go 0-2 and Laservision go 0-2.
And let's check in with Kristen Bedard, who's with Brett Helmer, the defending men's major champion.
Well, Brett, Laservision had 2 quick outs in the first inning, then we're able to plate 10. What kind of tone does that set?
Oh, that's a huge tone. You know, we've got 14 runs, 13 on 2 outs, so.
Correct thing to say there, but I think we all know they're built on hitting, and when they do catch it, they're a handful. You know, and that's been their Achilles heel all year. And if you ask Brett, he'll tell you that when they catch it, they're almost unbeatable. But when they don't catch it, they become a normal softball team real quick.
Kevin Philby will lead things off. It's Philby, Kirby, and Kennington.
And we talked about, you know, we started. Both Laservision and Rosmondo went 0-2 in this last year, and there was some talk that maybe that's one of the reasons they played so well at the Major World Series. Is they were fresh and rested, and you know you never want to do that.
Right.
But you know you didn't grind out 6 or 7 games in a stadium 2 weeks before, and it'll be interesting to see you know how that plays out. So momentum out of this event hasn't always been what's driven teams. We've had teams come here and win it and turn around and win the Major World Series, and last year the 2 teams were 0-4 combined,
right.
And they played in the finals.
The good news is there's a little bit of time between here and the Men's Major World Series for these teams to get tuned up. And the other thing about the Major is the fact that you're essentially, as long as you're in the winner's bracket, only playing a game a day, which is a big positive.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think this year will be the first time ever there are maybe 2 teams because of the 2 additional seeds that would play 2 on Wednesday, but even after that, it's one game. But if you're in the top 16 seeds, and as long as you stay in the winner's bracket, like you say, it's 1 game a day. You can plot it out. It's also the reason why you can come back to the winner's bracket. 08 and 07, our 07 team, we were lucky. We lost our first game, and we came all the way to the championship. Our 08 team, we lost our first game and came all the way back and double dipped Rosmondo to win it. That probably wouldn't have happened in a regular tournament.
Right.
But the fact that even there, we were only playing 2 games a day with 5-hour breaks in between them.
Much easier than
much easier route to come back. So that's what we've told everybody. If you get in the losers bracket early in that tournament, it's been proven you can come back through it. It's in a condensed formula like this here. You lost Thursday night. You know, you were or Friday night. You were basically playing back to back to back to back to back.
Playing all day long.
Yeah, so you're right. It's definitely a different beast over there. The Major World Series as a whole is a completely different beast.
And what a great facility ESPN's Wide World of Sports is. They're going to carry the Home Run Derby and then a winner's bracket game following that one on Friday night, and then the winner's bracket final and the loser's bracket final that are on Saturday night are both going to be carried on ESPN.
That's a huge step for the game, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
it's great.
I know you've done a lot of SEC football and a lot of other things, but for us playing softball, that's a huge thing right now.
Kirby almost grounds into a double play, but he'll beat it out at first. I think overall, though, you want to get the game to be exposed to as many people as possible, and ESPN is a tremendous platform for that. But that's where you take a look at that Men's Major World Series. All the fans that play in the D or the C or the E World Series, whatever is going on that week, it's so great, I would assume, for the players to get out there and play in front of thousands of people.
Yeah, and we the women's worlds are down at the same time, you know, all the levels. And we've talked in the past about, my day job, we're the corporate sponsor of the women's worlds. And we've talked about, hey, do we want to move that date? And we've surveyed the women, and they're like, no, we want to be here. We want to be here when the Major World Series is going on. Please don't ever move us off of this weekend. You know, one of the attractions is to be here to see those games. And you see Friday night. Last year we had a little bit of rain, and you couldn't tell how many people, even in the rain, huddled up underneath those hangover.
Just to watch the home run derby.
Just to watch the home run derby. And if you have good weather there, it looks like a spring training game between the Braves and the Dodgers or somebody down there, the Braves and the Astros. It is packed, top level, bottom level. It's amazing what that place looks like on a Friday night.
2 on, 1 out, and here's Kyle Moyer. I don't know that the hair works well in this type of heat.
No. He is a good young man, and he definitely beats to his own drummer, though. If you ever get a chance to spend some time with him, he's one of the funniest people you'll ever meet. But his look fits him. I mean, he beats to a different drummer, and we love the heck out of him. He's a great young kid.
Nice glove there by Powers, and how about that? They turn two to retire the side. Back-to-back innings. Laservision is blanked. We'll see if that turns into a little momentum for Gene Shoppe. The gloves on pursuit. Powers helping Shoppe turn two to retire the side.
ESPN's Wide World of Sports is the home for the best slow pitch softball. This year, the USSSA Slow Pitch World Series will feature 12 different divisions, including the men's, women's, and mixed, bringing the best teams in the country to Kissimmee. Each team is guaranteed 3 games, and the winners will take home World Series rings by Jostens. The action kicks off on September 18th with the Men's Major World Series and runs through October 20th. Don't miss out. Go to USSSA.com to find out more.
Wow.
Back here at Osceola County Stadium, we're on field number 1, just on the backfields here. A great 5-diamond facility along with the stadium, and it's been a great weekend. Nationwide Conference USSSA, the championships taking place on ESPN. A great banquet last night with the chairman of the board and CEO of USSSA, Don DiDonatis, honoring so many great players. And it's got to be impressive to think about how many years the conference has been around now, and how much it has grown over the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's really young, and it feels really old in some ways, you know. But if you look at go back to the history book, the number of teams to where we are now, it's an amazing effort that's been put forth. Teams that we were chasing were the Steels and the Riches Superiors and teams of that ilk. And you just got to see them 1 or 2 times. And you may not even play them in a year. Now as an A team or a B team, and even the C teams that are trying to move up, you're seeing these teams 6 and 7 times in a tournament because you're playing the circuit. And now instead of never playing them or seeing them, you're playing them 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. And I think what's happened is these guys have said, boy, they're really good, but I'm not sure I can't be that good. And you've got sponsors now saying, hey, I can put a group together to go chase that team down. You didn't see that in the past. It was the biggest budget one.
Right.
And I was blessed to be on both sides of that. You know, I spent years with Dan Smith, and, you know, we were the Yankees of the organization. And if Dan said we want that player, we went and got that player. If we were going to stay there, we were going to stay there. But, you know, it's easy now for people to knock it and say, oh, it's a 2-horse race, and it's not that. Well, it's not a 2-horse race anymore, and the gap is closing day in and day out. And the fact is that I think we're going to see in the next 2 to 3 seasons a whole different group of players at the top. We're going to see a whole different group of sponsors that are rising to the top. You sat in that banquet last night, and the sponsors of the Reds, what a great group of guys. They've only been in the conference for 2 years. They won the first time they offered, the U-Trip put an award together for the sponsors, and they received it, and rightfully so. You know, they took a team that didn't really even exist a couple years ago at this level, and got to the finals of the A Worlds. They were the undefeated team and got double dipped, but they got there.
Right.
And you spoke to those people last night. Their response, they can't hardly wait to build their team again for next year and get back at it. And, you know, I'm like, guys, you still got another tournament to go, you know. But that type of enthusiasm, you know, there's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be things that push it down. But the fact is, it's going in the right direction.
Cordova with a chance to get an RBI with Granados on second with a double. And overall, as the conference expands, there's just so much talent out there that in some ways maybe yet to find the conference, if you will, and work their way into it.
Yeah, we picked, you know, you were asking earlier about, you know, where do we find it? We ended up with a young man this year that's 21 years old. You know, my goal is to see him for the next 20 years.
Right.
You know,
here.
I mean, you know, the right attitude, the right skill set, but, you know, to see 21-year-olds, you know, I see their birth dates makes me feel real old, and I realize I'm older than their parents, you know.
Well, we got a good one here. Break on the field. Laservision leading. The winner will play Rismondo.
Are you ready? I'm ready. Bring it. Are you ready? It's on. It's on.
ESPN's Wide World of Sports is the home for the best slow pitch softball. This year, the USSSA Slow Pitch World Series will feature 12 different divisions, including the men's, women's, and mixed, bringing the best teams in the country to Kissimmee. Each team is guaranteed 3 games, and the winners will take home World Series rings by Jostens. The action kicks off on September 18th with the Men's Major World Series and runs through October 20th. Don't miss out. Go to USSSA.com to find out more.
Chad Dirk will start off here in the bottom of the 5th. Laservision, believe it or not, in this game of high offense and that high-powered octane team that they have, back-to-back innings they didn't score, Coop.
Yeah, if Laservision, wins this, it'll be fine. But if they do, I think Shoppe's going to look back on those 2 innings and say, we had the blink, we got them to blink twice, and they really didn't do anything with it. And that's your chance with a team like Laservision. This is what we talk about. When they quit hitting sometimes, this is when you got to go, and they didn't. I think I have a sneaking hunch right now you're about to see Laservision hang a number.
Yeah, and we're in the bottom of the 5th. This is a 7-inning game, if you're not familiar with the game of slow pitch softball. And Laservision up by 5, but basically all the offense came back in the 1st, and it was a 2-out rally where they scored 10 runs.
That is what we call the wrong part of the park.
I don't think it gets any deeper than that.
No, that's bad course management right there. That's a 385-foot ball, but it just went to a spot that it needs to be a 435-foot.
So Dirk flies out for out number 1. That'll bring Rainwater to the plate, who smoked one for 3 runs in his last plate appearance. The last time this team scored.
Yeah, and that's the scary part. If you're Shoppe right now, you know it's coming, and the fact that you had 2 chances to put a little pressure on them and you didn't, it's got to be haunting you right now.
Rainwater on the ground, and this quickly 2 away.
And if you can get out of here cheap, you better go do something.
Yeah.
I could have got good odds for us, Bernie, if we'd have said they'd have gone no runs in 3 innings in a row.
I know. But we always see some higher numbers scoring-wise on Friday nights, on Saturday nights as the temperature cools, especially in the state of Florida.
Yeah, the ball changes. A lot of people don't realize that the ball is made at a certain core, and every degree above 60, we lose 1.5 pounds of compression. And every degree below 60, we gain almost 2 pounds. So that's where if you're at home at league night and you're playing in an April league back somewhere, and it's a 30-degree night, and you're wondering why the ball's flying, and you're in the same park in July and it's not flying, the ball changes that much. And that's some of the technology that they're working on. We're trying to find ways as an industry to remove that, so that how the bracket's set up or if the temperature changes, we shouldn't see that kind of score swings based on what time of the day it is. And it's one of the things that the ball manufacturers are working really hard on, is to try to find a ball that's not sensitive to that temperature.
Lopez reaches here, and that'll bring to the plate Jason Kendrick. And what's the big solution for that? Is it, if you want to compare this to Major League Baseball, is that a ball that changes?
It doesn't. It's a wound cord ball. It's a completely different construction, completely different ball that's manufactured there.
How about that for a flip?
That was almost an amazing play there, wasn't it? Yeah, it's a completely different ball, a completely different, construction. So it's not affected by it, and it'll be affected a little. And you've heard stories of having dehumidified rooms where balls are stored in the major leagues,
especially out in the Rocky Mountains.
And we're going to rub them up and we're going to check them. So the variable swing is so insignificant compared to what we see here. So this is some of the things we talked about. And we talked earlier about bat and ball technology. Well, one of the things that we don't talk about is back in the old days with aluminum, we hit balls that there was nothing soft about them. We used to laugh, why do we call it softball? You know, we were hitting 12-inch Titleist. You know, they were 1100 compression, super duper blue dots. You know, that ball's long since gone. So the bat technology's come a long way. The sweet spot technology's come a long way. There's no doubt about it. I mean, but the ball technology, they've tried to match it, and they're continuously trying to match it and make it a better game.
PD popped up. And how about this? 3 consecutive innings. Laservision's gone without a run. We'll see if Shoppe can capitalize when we come back for the 6th. It's a 5-run ball game here from Central Florida.
If you play slow pitch, you already know the Z2000 is one of the most popular bats in the sport. We updated the Z2000's technology to put it ahead of the curve for 2014. The Z2000 is built with pure 360 composite barrel material. For you, that means a more forgiving barrel, a larger sweet spot, and a cleaner sounding pop with every hit. Exclusive technology, lighter swing weight, proven design. That's how the Z2000 will leave its mark on the game. How will you leave yours?
Well, it is a beautiful day. Nationwide Conference USSSA Championships on the air. Rismondo is just wheeling their bags in. They're getting set. They'll face either Shoppe or Laservision, depending on the outcome of the final 2 innings here. It's been a neck-and-neck ball game, but Shoppe with 2 in the first, 4 in the second, 2 in the third, and a run in the fourth just hasn't been able to capitalize on essentially 3 consecutive blanked innings. And let's check in now with the third member of our team, Kristen Bedard. KB, what do you got?
Well, I had a chance to ask Breck Helmer about the 3 consecutive zeros, and he said it should never happen. This team is full of hitters, but they're not concerned. No one's ahead of them. They're winning this game. They're going to rely on their defense to carry this one through.
I'm hoping that the defense turns into a little offense. And, you know, right now they find themselves in a good situation because they're 6 outs away from moving on and a chance to play for some brilliant trophies that were on display this week.
Yeah, and this is the game that the Laservision can get themselves in trouble with, though, because they have to out-hit you. And right now, you know, Shoppe hasn't made them pay for this. And this is where they'll look back. This is if you can put some pressure on them right now and make their defense beat you or play with you. This is where I think that Laservision can show. Of course, on cue, Sammy Lopez makes a play like Brooks Robinson. So what do I know?
It's all about the defense, and it's on showcase. Jonathan Lenz. He had one, well, could have been maybe an extra base hit stolen away from him there.
Yeah, and if Laservision can play defense like this the rest of the day and the rest of the year with their offense, they're almost unbeatable.
Andy Vidcat at the plate. Basin, the question is, do you see any advantage for the team that plays one more before the one that's in the winner's bracket, just because they've got an opportunity to swing their bats?
This argument's gone on since the double elimination bracket was created, is who has the better chance. Is it the team coming through? What we've always said is, if you get to the if game, I think it favors the team that came out of the loser's bracket, because then the pressure switches back, and obviously they're on a roll. It definitely can. You know, obviously all of us would prefer to be in the spot where we had to get double dipped, but it's definitely a valid question.
Down the line, that's a fair ball. Kyle Coward. And is this finally the inning where Shoppe pushes through? They'll have 2 in scoring position in the top of their lineup.
I'd like to see them take a lead here just to see the response we got out of Laservision. And Rismondo's standing over here in the shade hoping this thing gets drug out and they both hit around for the next hour and they can take 2 teams that have been standing in the sun for 2.5 hours.
Lee Powers. He could make this a 2-run ball game with 1 swing of the bat. Watches the first 2. And launches 1. Back deep and gone. And Shoppe is within 2.
Yeah. It'll be interesting if we can get to the same spot later in the game and see what they'll do here. Is that Eric Thompson, a great hitter that he is, he's a singles double hitter. And it's an interesting lineup a little bit in the stadium is that they've got Eric, who is, you know, probably if you ask the Catuccio, the father-son team that coaches him, say he's their best pure hitter.
Yeah.
But he's not getting up out of here. So it'd be interesting if we can get into that same spot later. Are you going to let Lee Powers free swing there, or are you going to make him hit 3 times instead of 2 times?
Yeah.
Play. Ball.
Eric Thompson here.
Ball.
Saw him strike out in his first plate appearance. He's still been peculiar at the plate. He's reached once via the walk.
No, sir.
And a walk for the second time. So the tying run comes to the plate, and Robert Blackburn.
You also wonder here with the short and with Gino missing is you've got Billy out there, you know, he's our elder statesman. What's the situation going to be here? Not only is he just walked Eric, and I can promise you he wasn't pitching around Eric to get to the conference leader in hitting. Is if they can get by this game, you know, what's Billy going to have to bring to Rismondo?
Yeah. That's you know, especially it's a good point. You know, we saw it. In fact, Helmer was the one that was on the mound the very first night of this Nationwide Conference USSSA Championship.
And we've seen Brett pitch a little bit this year because of that, and you know, with their and Brett's a serviceable pitcher. You ask him, he doesn't want to be out there. He's not a Gino or a Billy, and you know, but.
Man, that one was cranked.
And that ball is out of here, and that
And it's a tie ball game.
This game up at 14 apiece. Robert Blackburn knocks the ball game up.
Talk about a line drive shot.
And
that was a rocket.
That's what he does. If you've ever been a teammate of Robo, it's interesting. His father travels a lot with the team. Great family man, and he actually will get up and go out an hour before his team takes BP, so his dad can throw to him so he can get an extra hour's worth of BP. And I've never been on a team or around someone that wants to hit as much or more than he does.
Well, Neil Hagelin has a chance to give Shoppe the lead. That's exactly what we were talking about. Maybe now you're going to get a chance to see Laservision respond.
Heavy.
Well, they're going to be at the top of their order. You know, we had the pinch hitter Thede making out for Messina. So one thing they got going for them is they'll start with Bryson Baker, but the question right now is going to be how far are you down?
Coco for Rogowski.
Shoppe having their biggest inning of the ball game. They've scored 5 here in the top of the 6th.
And here's the big man we talked about that was sitting it out a little bit. Obviously, they're hoping he's got one swing in him.
Well, when you're watching the Home Run Derby on ESPN in a couple weeks, this is always going to be one of the top favorites.
Yeah. And Timmy got elected into the USSSA Hall of Fame. He'll go in November.
Oh, and came up a little short. And it's retired for out number 2.
I don't care if it's Major League Baseball or USSSA travel ball. Pinch hitting's still a hard thing to do. You stand around, and we saw it. We've seen Tim walking back and forth in front of us over here like a caged animal with a bat in his hand wanting to play. And you can see him walking off the field. He's definitely not 100%, but I don't care if it's slow pitch softball or baseball. It's a tough thing to do.
So the go-ahead run is in scoring position.
Play.
Casey Rogowski.
I think Coco hit for Rogowski.
Excuse me.
So we have
Dave Kessler.
Baby Wegs, as we call him. He's from the same area that Brian Wegman is, and Brian kind of brought him up through the system, and he's really turned himself into quite a great young player. Newlywed, got married about 3 weeks ago, I think. Had to get his hair cut, cleaned himself up. We didn't even recognize him when he came back to the field.
Got to get cleaned up for the occasion.
Yeah,
right?
he did.
Not sure that it was the best timing to get married right during the middle of the season.
Yeah, we wrote him a little bit about that. You need to set the precedent, son. Weddings are for December.
Play.
That one turned on, and it's going to turn
Foul.
and land foul for Granados. It's hard to get all the family and friends there when you're right in the middle of softball season.
Yeah, you know, it's no one wants to cry woe is me, because we're all so privileged to be at this level and to travel and go the places that we've gotten to go because of softball. But you definitely, there are times that you miss things, you know, and you're asked to do things. You know, my wife was kind enough to marry me at the Major World Series at Disney on the night before we played our first game.
Wow.
So, you know, it's definitely, you know, again, it's sure not going to cry woe is me. It's a great privilege, but you lose contact with friends. You lose contact with high school friends. You know, there's a lot of things that happen during the summer, and this is your summer, and this becomes your family.
It's like a fraternity, essentially.
Most definitely.
It's a ground out. That retires the side, but 5 scored by Shoppe. We are tied 14-14 as we head to the bottom of the 6th. The winner looking to move on and take on Rismondo.
ESPN's Wide World of Sports is the home for the best slow pitch softball. This year, the USSSA Slow Pitch World Series will feature 12 different divisions, including the men's, women's, and mixed, bringing the best teams in the country to Kissimmee. Each team is guaranteed 3 games, and the winners will take home World Series rings by Jostens. The action kicks off on September 18th with the Men's Major World Series and runs through October 20th. Don't miss out. Go to USSSA.com to find out more.
Bottom of the 6th, well, this is a huge inning for Laservision. They haven't scored since the bottom of the 2nd, where they pushed across 4 runs. They scored 10 on 2 outs back in the 1st. But Shoppe has come back to tie the ball game 14-14. And you know, you talk about for either one of these teams, it's a game of momentum. And right now, Shoppe would likely have a little more momentum even going into that Rismondo game than Laservision does.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, I think the interesting things there, Shoppe did a great job tying it, but when you tie it with nobody out, you were looking to hang a number right there. And I think they're feeling good, but the back of their mind right now, they're thinking, well, we got multiple blanks, and we had a
he's had down at the bag at 3rd today. Brilliant catch after brilliant catch.
Yeah, and he's definitely the next generation. You know, it's defense and offense. He's I wouldn't say he's a 5-tool, because I don't think Lee would argue that he's a fast guy. But excluding that, he's a heck of a player. Great gloves, huge arm, and can absolutely smash it, as we've seen with his last 2 at bats.
It's a big out getting Baker. This is Brian Wegman, who's yet to get a hit in the ball game. Strike called. It's 1-1. Wegman, and that one a mistake, because that was out number 2.
Yeah, and Shent's so sure-handed that doesn't happen very often. I think he sat on his heels a little bit there and waited for that ball. He was going to have a problem even if he fielded it by waiting for it the way Wegs runs, that if you gave him that chance to do it all over again, he's going to come in a couple steps on that ball.
And so Philby comes to the plate with a chance to put Laservision ahead, and a big difference in this game, more so than the games of baseball or fast pitch when you're the home team. And that's where you see a real advantage here, especially if you can push across a couple of runs. You start to feel real comfortable knowing that you're the home team.
That's right.
Especially in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, and the other thing, like you heard talk about, you know, you're paying a 15-run rule here, and it seems like a lot right now when they've only scored 14. But this team's capable of doing that with the home runs they've got left on the table. You can feel like your Shoppe, this inning starts, you're tied,
right, and
you never hit again. You know, they put a 15 on you, and you kind of look at yourself and go, what just happened? And that's Laservision is the team that I think everyone fears in those situations the most out of everybody, because you know their 9-10 hitters are just amazing hitters.
There's another look at the shot by Philby down the line into the corner. And there's two in scoring position for Scott Kirby, who's got a huge bat as well, and he's going to bring in the go-ahead run for Laservision. And RBI for Kirby makes it 15-14, and they're back on top.
Score the go-ahead run, 15-14. Runners at the corners and now into the box, the middle infielder, Kevin Kennington. Kevin, 3 out of 3.
And that'll bring to the plate Kevin Kennington. They're on the corners with just one away. Kennington takes a called strike. I don't know if he got enough. He may have gotten under that one. And that one's going to be off the left field wall. It'll bounce back in. It'll be good enough to get an RBI to make it 16-14, and we'll go with a double for Kennington. And that's the challenge here down the left field line. That ball absolutely crushed, and it's a home run on any other ballpark in this facility.
Yeah, even in the stadium, because you're playing out here, this park plays so much bigger than that stadium does. Plus you have the net there. That's a 3-run home run if we're on the stadium.
Instead, it's off the green monster, if you will. Moyer at the plate now. Takes a called strike. And to left. And almost a brilliant defensive play. And Moyer takes off his cap, races around with a base clearing triple.
If you got hair like that, you got to show it off. I mean, that's a little Pete Rose right there, and he's showing off a little bit there.
Got to tip your cap to him. Here's another look.
Number 14, Shannon Durant.
Great effort. It's an absolute great effort.
Anything for you, Doc?
They definitely lay it all out on the line in this game.
Yeah, that's a great effort.
Durek at the plate. This one launched as well to the gap, and it's off the wall. And then again, this is what you're talking about. Certainly they've awoken the beast, if you will.
Yeah, and this is where, like you say, to a lot of people think, well, what's 15 runs? Well, the next thing you know here, they're not. If they roll this order over, and they're not far from doing it. If you get back to the top of their order and they've still got one out, it starts playing in the back of the shop's coaching staff's mind is that they're only a few swings away from ending this thing, and you went from, you're tied going into the latter inning and a half, thinking you got a chance to steal this game.
Rainwater popped up, 2 away.
And if you are Shop, you got to think right now, you can't give up another run.
2 outs. And into the box, it'll be the third baseman, Sam Lopez.
Sam Lopez now. Trying to cushion this 5-run lead for Laservision. The first time they've scored in the game since the second, and this is their second biggest inning of the ball game. Lopez smokes this one to left. And that's going to go as a ground rule double.
I'd be surprised if they pitched to Jason here. They've already pinch hit once for Billy. If they pinch hit for him again here, you've burned Billy. He can't go back on the mound. And we talked about their starting pitching staff isn't here. Their two starters, Travis Clark is here and hurt, and Gino Buck isn't here. I would be very surprised. I mean, I don't see a reason why you would even throw him a pitch anywhere near the plate right now.
2-0. One more and a walk.
Well, they might get away with it.
Kendrick is retired, inning over, but Shoppe is down to their final 3 outs in the ball game as Laservision pushes across 6 big runs in the bottom of the 6th. It's a 20-14 lead. The winner moves on to take on Resmondo.
Are you ready? I'm ready. Bring it. Are you ready? It's on. It's on.
Well, Shoppe finds themselves down to their final 3 outs, trailing 20-14, and you know, it's all about getting warmed up for the Men's Major World Series. But Shoppe, as you said, may have felt like they missed an opportunity there after a strong top of the 6th to tie the ball game. They just couldn't take the lead.
Yeah, they didn't take the lead and put a little pressure on them. But again, if they look back on this game, I think they're going to look back at those innings that Laservision went blank, and they didn't put anything back with them. And that was their shot here. You know, it's the old cliche. It's not over till it's over, but you know, you're asking for a lot right now, and you got to figure, you know, they get to come hit again. So if you're Shoppe, you obviously have to tie it to start with, but to win this thing, you're probably thinking you need 10 here.
Cordova will start off the top of the 7th. 1 for 2, a triple and a walk. Helmer's in the ball game behind home, catching into the corner. That one falls foul. Oh wait, they're signaling home run.
Yeah. And that's where we see, you know, Vic goes into the little short corner over there, and we've seen a couple balls hit off the screen in the last inning that were hit probably 85 feet further than that ball, and it didn't get out.
Here's another look. Yeah, it did. Yeah. It's one of those things they call it the foul pole, but it means that it's fair.
Yeah. I hate agreeing with umpires.
Yeah. Rick Robertson, the head of the USSSA umpiring staff, thought that you might say a couple of kind words about these folks.
They actually do a good job. I mean, you know, it's easy to pick on the 1 or 2 bad calls, but you know, you think about how many calls there are during the game that are correct and right, and you know, and like we talk about, you know, you look at the Major League Baseball and the plays there, and those guys are getting paid, and it's the only thing they've got to do, and they do a great job. But it's easy to pick on the 2 or 3 blown calls. You know, a couple of years ago we watched a kid lose a perfect game on a ball that we all knew, you know, wasn't it? So it's easy for us in the heat of the moment to say some things, and I'll be the first one to admit that I've had to go find them afterwards and maybe apologize for an unkind word or 2.
Well, it's all in the heat of the battle, and at the end of the day, they're human, and I think that it's a much better situation for it to be called by humans as opposed to us replaying everything.
Yeah, and you know, we're watching this happen right now, the expanded replay in Major League Baseball, and obviously all of us out here are baseball fans, and there was a dinner conversation the other night. It's one of the that's to me one of the sexy things about it is the umpire, you know, the different strike zones and all of that. I don't know if I like the expansion of replay there. You know, you can say we want to get everything right, but it's never been that way. You know, and we've always known that certain home plate umpires have a completely different strike zone.
Right.
And that's been the charm of the game.
Well, the good news initially is it's not going to be a part of the strike zone, but you can just see that as time progresses, that maybe starts to become part of it. You have a guy that's pitching really great, and the next thing you know, he gets a couple inches off the zone.
Right. I mean, we look at the, you know, you've got the 75 game with the Eddie Armbruster play. If we had replayed, does that stand? You know, the Reggie Jackson getting hit in the rump ball, you know, does that stand? You know, some of the great moments of baseball history moments are questionable in the moment humans were involved in it.
Into the corner, that one falls foul. And so that will be out number 1 of the inning on a foul out. And the craziest thing about video replays, sometimes even after you replay it 3 or 4 times, you still don't know.
Yeah, we see that in
is.
football, right? I mean, and that's the thing. We talk about speeding the game up. You know, one of the complaints you hear about the baseball game is the average fan doesn't want to sit there for 3.5 hours. They don't understand the cerebral part of the game, and they like football. They like the speed of it. They like a running clock. You have that type of stuff, and we've seen even in football with 20 cameras on it take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes to get a replay.
Yeah. Well, top of the lineup in Lee Powers. Can he do it again? If it stays fair, it's gone.
Yeah.
And it is fair.
I think a squirrel just lost its home.
Man, a 3-run shot for Lee Powers.
If you're ever down here and you realize how far that tree is that he just went at, that is an amazing shot.
Into the box, it'll be the first baseman, number 17, Eric Thompson.
So Thompson at the plate.
Down 2.
And it's a 2-run deficit now for Shoppe. And you still, at the end of the day, start to put a bunch of pressure on Laservision. You are the home team, but when you bat in the bottom of the 7th, you got to produce. And you take a look at the zeros pushed up in the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. You may start to believe that there's a possibility that you could do it again.
Yeah, you get the lead here. You roll the dice. And the one thing about it is if this is a 300-foot park and they've got home runs left and you're only up 1 or 2, you know you're in trouble.
Right.
But here, as we've seen, if you miss it just a little bit, especially into the 2 gaps, it's not going. And they're in the. If you ask Shoppe management, the 3 guys they'd won up in a row in a spot right now, you got them. You got the conference leading hitter, followed by their young superstar and Neil Haglund, and their veteran they put back in who just missed a home run his last time. So if you're Shoppe right now, other than trailing 2, you kind of like the situation you're in here.
Got under that one. And they really had to move to make out number 2, and now Laservision finds themselves 1 out away from facing Resmondo. And it's up to Haglund to try to possibly tie the ball game. Timmy Coco picking out his weapon of choice in the on-deck circle as well.
He's going to stomp around here. He's been caged for the last few hours, only got 1 swing. You look at him right now, he's just praying that Neil gives him 1 more shot here.
Well, he'd be the guy that could give him the lead if Haglund can get aboard.
And Neil's chipped 2 out of here earlier. They'll take a base hit right now. Any a walk, an error, anything they can do to get Coco in the box right now.
Well, good showcase here in game number 1. Yeah, a battle of 2 great teams.
You can't ask for much more than this.
Well, this could do it.
Well, and that's what we've talked about with him right there. Scott Kirby, with the offensive MVP of the league, he's not the Gold Glove of the league. And it's not a knock on him. I love Scott, and he busts his butt out there, but he's there to hit. And this is where we've watched Laservision, you know, especially with Resmondo a couple times, you know, comes to roost. You got Timmy Coco in the box, a guy going to the Hall of Fame for being a home run hitter. And, you know, this game should be over. They should be drinking water right now, getting ready to play Resmondo.
Yeah. Timmy Coco instead has a chance to give Shoppe the lead.
The interesting thing about this is that I spent a lot of years with Billy. I've coached with him, played with him. Billy actually likes to pitch to Coco. We had a couple of opportunities in the years past where we've walked to get to Timmy, and people would look at it like we were crazy. Billy has always liked to pitch to him. He knows Timmy likes to swing. Timmy's not going to take a lot of walks. He's not a big walk guy. He's hit his way into the Hall of Fame. He hasn't walked his way into it. And Billy's always felt that he can get him to go front foot, short pitch. The interesting part is you would think after all these years, Timmy knows that it's going to be short pitch, front foot, and we'll see what he does. But I've seen this more times than not where he's got to roll over to second base on him right here.
But again, the disadvantage, if you will, for Coco, just his second opportunity of the ball game. He came up short with a fly out to right in his first plate appearance. But a home run here can give Shoppe the lead.
And the way Neal runs a ball in the gap's going to give him a tie.
Rolled it over to second. How about that? And Coco retired, and that's the ball game. Final score in this one, Laservision holds on for a 20-18 win, and they'll move on to take on Resmondo in the championship game. And the good news for Laservision is they got a bit of momentum as far as the bats are concerned with the way they put together the bottom of the sixth.
Yeah, I think they're actually, it worked out better for them. If they would have just limped along and won that thing, if Shoppe wouldn't have come back and they'd have kept throwing zeros up, you know, they'd be in a world. Because let's be honest, they took a little bit of a beating yesterday. Resmondo wasn't kind to them. It was a point prover.
We'll have the Winners Bracket Championship coming up next. Laservision defeats Shoppe by 2. For Don Cooper and our entire crew, Bernie Gunther saying so long from Osceola County. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.